Okay, that's my talk. Why don't you guys move on to the next song? Jonas Megrim, people, thank you very much. You rock the house. I'm going to have to revise my attitude of Iowa. Good morning. How is everybody? Great. So our talk today, officially, you know what that means, right? That means this is the talk I'm supposed to talk about. It's called the centering breath. And I took one look at that and I went, how am I going to do 25 minutes on the centering breath? And I got an answer, but it wasn't to talk about the centering breath. So we'll take a moment and talk about the centering breath, because it is important to have that ability to remember to take a good deep breath in and out and come to center. How many of you have ever faced stressful conditions at some point in time in your life? Okay. Taking a good deep breath helps you to come to center and remember who you are. Remember that as you think in your heart, so are you, and all that stuff. And so it's your time to take a centering breath, to auscultate. What? To auscultate. Okay, where's my Balderdash friends from last night? Dave's there. And and back. Reverend Pam is back in the back. So last night I was at a Nourishing Our Community event. It was Sylvia and Jillian's game night, which is a really fun event. I suggest next year you sign up for that. And we were playing, after some fabulous food, we were playing Balderdash. And Balderdash is where you pull a card out of there and it has a word on it that usually is a word you've never heard of before, like auscultate. Okay? And so the group gets to figure out what the definition of it is and make it up and stuff like that. Well, they challenged me, because that was the word that I drew, they challenged me to use that in my talk today. So here we are. I'm using auscultate in my talk today. And what does auscultate mean? Dave, what does auscultate mean? Uh-oh. He forgot. There was some wine last night, too. Auscultate means to listen with a stethoscope. Now, isn't that a useful information piece? And you say, what the heck does that have to do with spiritual talk? Think about it. What is the stethoscope used for? How do you use the stethoscope? You put it in your ear so you block out everything else, right? Kind of like what you do with meditation, taking a deep breath. And then you listen to what? Your heart, or what's within. Oh. So we take a centering breath and we auscultate. Over there. We listen within. It's one of the most beautiful things we can do, is to stop and remember who we are and to listen within, to block out all the noise of the conditions, to block out all the stuff, and to remember, who am I? I'm God-informed. So that's the taking of a centering breath. Everybody, let's take 3 deep centered breaths. Allow ourselves to just remember who we are. And one more. Okay, and that's my talk on the centered breath. Amen. Now what I really want to talk about is, what comes next? What do you do after you've taken that centered breath? Ernest Holmes said that if we use this teaching to just simply cope with our lives, we're misusing the teaching. And so if all we're doing is taking a centered breath just to get through our day, we're misusing the teaching, because there's so much more available. Okay? We, as the song says, set our intention. You have the lyrics up here somewhere, I'll bet. Do I have my reading glasses? I don't have my reading glasses. What am I looking at?
Move one over. Move one stand.
Move one stand over. Back the page up. Beep, beep, beep. I'm backing the page up. First, it takes intention. Be clear on what you want, because nothing's going to happen if your mind is nonchalant. Isn't that a great line? Did you write that? Excellent. So we want to go back and we want to do what Ernest Holmes describes as taking dominion over things, or in his case he says, I believe in the control of conditions through the power of this mind. He's talking about the capital M mind. He's talking about the same mind that Jesus talks about when he says, it's not I, but the Father within that does the work. So we take our center breath, we remember who we are, we get in touch with that mind, and then we set our intention and create what we want. Doesn't that sound better than just coping with whatever you got in front of you? The crumbs and the, whatever other stuff? If I don't control my conditions, guess what? They will control me. If I don't control my conditions, they will control me. Take a breath. So that's the good news and the bad news of this teaching. Our consciousness creates our reality. And for some of us, we say, hey, that's really great. And others of us, we sit there and go, ooh, not so much. The good news is that we're all about changing consciousness. We have our motto, change your thinking, change your life, which can really be better said as change your beliefs, change your life. Change your consciousness. And so we are here to reveal and become the consciousness of heaven on earth right here, right now. And Ernest, again, in that wonderful what we believe, that whole thing, by the way, is on the back of your program. If you ever want to take a look at it, it's entitled What We Believe, I believe, is on the back of your program, right? I believe that it's on the back of your program. It's on the back? Okay, good. I believe that heaven is within us and that we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. Guess what our only job is? To become more conscious of the heaven that already exists. That's a fun job.
Yes, sir.
That's different. When I first got into personal growth, it seemed like, peeling the layers of the onion. Oh my God, I'm working through one more, thing after another. When are my issues going to stop? Anybody else ever? Yeah. Okay? No. What we're doing is peeling back and becoming more aware of how good can it get. And yeah, in the process, we're knocking some stuff out of the way that's been blocking us, but we're about how good can it get.
Yeah.
That's a whole different paradigm, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah. How good can it get? And then the question, of course, comes up, that's fine, David, that's great. Change my conscience, change my thinking, change my life. How? I don't know. But I've been told. There's this thing called spiritual mind treatment. To me, it's the greatest gift of this teaching to the planet. And a lot of people have tried to say, well, I don't like that term. It's so archaic, spiritual mind treatment. It sounds like something from old Christian Science, and it kind of was, by the way, and so last century, early last century, and why did Ernest use it? Let's call it affirmative prayer. Okay? And that's a nice title, and it is a statement of what it is, but I happen to like spiritual mind treatment. So let's walk through that phrase. First of all, let's take treatment. When you go to a doctor, when you go to a hospital, you get what? You get treated. Somebody will treat you. They'll repair your broken bone. They will, put a boot on your broken toe. Jonas, just so you know, don't go kayaking with these two people right here. They will throw kayaks on your toe and break them. They did it to me. And so I'm just a poor victim here. Just totally innocent. I suppose the fact that I was holding on to it and it slipped out of my hand really doesn't have anything to do with it. But anyway. Where was I? I was on treatment. I was on the doctor treats you for what's ailing you. A doctor will deal with us at the level of condition, at the level of the surface level of the condition. Okay? So what we want to deal with is something different. We want to deal with our mind and the one mind. So we are doing treatment for what? Our mind. And if I want to change somebody, whose mind do I treat for? Mine, not theirs. If I'm unhappy with Charlie over here, I don't treat for God to fix Charlie. I've tried, not necessarily with Charlie. but other relationships in my past, and I can guarantee you it doesn't work. I treat my mind to reveal the spiritual truth through me into that situation, into that circumstance, into that condition. And that's why I love the term spiritual mind treatment, because it's very clear what it is. Now, how do we do one of those things? Say, hey, Dave, that sounds pretty good. I think I want to do that. First of all, it's different than the prayer that most of us did when we were growing up in some of those other churches, spiritual traditions we went to. How many of you are familiar with what's called beseeching? Dear God, please, please, oh please, let me have my way. Yeah, okay. And then there's the bargaining. Dear God, I promise I'll be really, really, really good if you just... Okay, yeah. Some of you have done this, I've done this, we've all done this. It's not that. Because there isn't a big guy up in the sky that we're praying up to, hoping that we can get his or her or whoever's favor to come down and bless us and grant us some goodie. The Hindus call it a boon. You know, they try and get the little Hindu gods, if they have a surface understanding of Hinduism, there's a deeper mystical understanding. But on the surface, it's like, I hope that Lakshmi gives me the boon of abundance, or that Ganesha gives me the boon of dealing with my obstacles, you know, the goodie. And so we're not talking about that. We're talking about becoming conscious of and opening our minds to becoming conscious of the heaven as earth that's already present. We're talking about becoming conscious of the infinite presence that already is. We're talking about getting our bloated nothingness, I always love that term, good old Emerson, Ralph Waldo, getting our bloated nothingness out of the way of the flow of the divine circuits. In other words, if I get my smallness and my misunderstandings out of the way, the universe takes care of itself and shows up as heaven, because that's what it's trying to do anyways. Several years ago, I had a friend who had misplaced his Palm Pilot. That will tell you how many years ago this was. Some of you younger folks have no consciousness of what a Palm Pilot was.
I do.
Okay, good. I'm glad. Before there were smartphones, there were these little things that looked like smartphones that weren't that smart, but they did do a calendar for you. And a lot of us put our lives into that calendar, all of our schedules and everything like that. It's just take the calendar function off of your smartphone. That's what the whole device was about. And then you had a cell phone, and then you had other things, pager and all those electronic devices that we asked you to shut off, so don't turn them on yet. My friend John had lost his Palm Pilot. He had looked for it for a week, could not find it. He finally came to me because he knew that I'm really good at manifesting lost stuff, and said, I can't find this, would you do a prayer for me to find my Palm Pilot? I said, sure, absolutely, I can absolutely know that, because I know that there's only one mind, and that mind knows where all the stuff is, right? It does. You ever lose anything, you just sit there and center yourself and sit there and go, okay, wait, there's only one mind. There's nothing lost in that one mind. And so I simply know that right here, right now, that mind reveals to me where that thing is. And watch how fast it shows up. Sometimes it shows up in places you wish it wouldn't show up. Is Gloria here? Yeah, hi, Gloria. Yeah, we have a secret between us about a thing of mine that showed up in a place that we're not going to talk about, because she found it. Ooh. Just for clarity, it was not at her house, or her car, or any of her possessions. Just to nip any rumors in the bud. But the stuff shows up. So the guy's Palm Pilot, he came back to me a couple days later and he goes, my Palm Pilot showed up on the dashboard of my pickup truck. He had a small pickup truck. It was one of those little Toyota or Mazda pickup trucks, the small ones. He said, I had looked there repeatedly over the week, over and over and over again, and it wasn't there. He says, I forgot to tell you, by the way, that my wife had also lost hers a couple of days ago, and hers showed up also in a place that she had looked repeatedly, and it wasn't there. You want to know how powerful prayer is? A friend of mine, I kind of, when he thanked me for that, I kind of deferred it. I said, well, God's really good, you know, whatever. A couple weeks later, I was doing a workshop with a guy named Terry McBride, who does what I call construction worker level science of mind. He says some words that are not always appropriate in church. You know, and he's very direct, because that's what he did. He healed himself of 27 back surgeries, so they told him he would never walk again He's climbed Mount Rainier since then and walks just fine, thank you very much. And it took a consciousness of, his book is titled The Hell I Can't. Because they told him you can't, and he said, the hell I can't. And that's sort of the attitude he went through it with. So he got in my face when he found out that I kind of deflected, and he goes, that Palm Pilot was not on that dashboard until you declared it to be there. Take a breath. You have that power. I have that power. We have the power to control conditions through the use of the mind. It's not because I'm so fabulous. It's because I opened up to a mind that knew how to do it. It's because you know how to open up to a mind that knows how to do this. And so we're going to talk about this process called spiritual mind treatment right now. It's a 5-step process. Some of you know this. Some of you have never heard of this before. Just take it in at whatever level you want to hear it. Step number 1. Most of us get wrapped up in our problem, our situation. We look at our checkbook, we look at our relationship, we look at our body, we look at something and we try to solve the problem at the level of consciousness that created the problem, which Einstein said we can't do. We can't resolve the problem. We can't fix the problem at the level that most of us, at the surface level where we created the problem in the first place. We have to go back to the creative process that we started with and change that process. So we start by taking our consciousness and our attention off of the problem. How many of you have ever had a problem and it just gets in your face and just gets in your face and just niggles at you and it's over and over and over and over again until it becomes huge? Anybody besides, okay, 2 of you have, and I have 2. And 4. Okay, 4. All right, we're up. We're going up. All right. The rest of you guys have got it made. So you can just doze during his talk. He'll be singing again in a few minutes. We take our attention off the problem. I'm just playing with you. You know I'm just playing with you. We take our attention off the problem. And we put it on the infinite presence of the Almighty. Again, this is not the big guy in the sky. This is the infinite presence that is trying to reveal itself constantly as more and more good, more and more heaven through us. We remember, first of all, that is all there is. Ernest Holmes used to say there's only one life. There's only one. One. It gets us out of separation, doesn't it? It gets us out of thinking that there's some sort of lack and limitation, or that there's a them or they or that over there. There's only one life. And that life is good. That life is love. Now, it's not good. I want to qualify, because somebody asked me about this last week. Good is not by our egoical standards of good. Okay? See, I think chocolate ice cream is good. I think strawberry ice cream is not so good. But I bet you there's somebody in this audience that thinks strawberry ice cream is just really good. Who are you? Okay, Damien way in the back there. Okay. And Ronnie over there. Thinks strawberry ice cream is really good. See, that's a good that's not good or bad, or that's debatable. The good that we're talking about is the good that is beyond that. How many of us have ever been in situations in our lives that looked really messy, nasty, and ugly when we were going through them, that later on we said, I'm so glad I went through that. That turned out to be really good. Okay? That's the good we're talking about. The universe is constantly trying to make it good. Joseph of the multicolored coat said to his brothers, what you did for evil, but God used it for good. That's what the universe is constantly trying to do, and if we stay in alignment with the universe, the good will always show up. No matter how much evil shows up, what looks like evil, and evil is just simply living backwards, the word live backwards. When we're out of consciousness, when we're living backwards, it's not a thing of itself. When stuff shows up that we don't like, no matter how much it is, if we open to the consciousness, the good always shows up. The good has to show up. It's the nature of that. So we turn our attention first, that's step 1, to God is all there is. And God is good. God is abundant. God doesn't live in lack. Have you noticed? We got, galaxies of stars, of billions of stars, then billions of galaxies of billions of stars, and then lately they tell us there's multiple universes of galaxies of billions of stars, etc. I'm not sure how you get a multiple universe, but that's, they can work that out. It's a semantic thing. And so we open to that abundance. We open to that infinite love. Jesus, in the story of the prodigal son, the kid asked for his inheritance so he can take off and go party with it. How many of you, if your 17-year-old asked you for their inheritance, hey, you're going to kick the bucket eventually anyways, can I have my inheritance now? How many of you would say yes? Dalton, have you tried it yet? Okay. Okay, most of us would not, but what does the father in the story say? Yes, go for it. By the way, in Jewish law, the kid could have been stoned to death just for asking at that time, according to that old Levitical law, Mosaic law. He could have been stoned to death. Kid takes off, parties, blows it, ends up slopping pigs, which is the lowest point that a Jewish boy could go in those days. Today we'd say he had a crack habit and was living on the street. Finally wakes up and says, you know what? I remember who I am. I'm my father's son. This is the process we're all doing. We're waking up. We're coming to ourselves. We're remembering who we are. And he says, on my father's ranch, the ranch hands live better than I'm living right now. I'm going back just to be a ranch hand. I don't expect to be treated like his son anymore. I blew that. And so he breaks his way back. His dad is doing what? Dad's standing on the porch there, right? We're waiting for you, punk. I knew you'd come crawling back one day. You're going to spend some time out there working the back 40 for a while before we even talk. That's what the father said, right? No? Oh, man.
My dad.
That was your dad, yeah. That'd be a lot of our dads. No, Dad runs down the road, grabs some new clothes and a ring, runs down the road, sets up a barbecue and a party for the whole neighborhood with the fatted calf, runs down the road, greets his son, and says, I'm so happy to have you back. I love you. Son's trying to go, well, he's like, ignore that. I love you. This is that God we're talking about. I don't care what you've ever done or think you've ever done. The infinite presence has never stopped loving you. It can. It's love itself. As a friend of mine says, it's so dysfunctional, it can't stop loving you. So at step one, we tap back into that which is the absolute love, the absolute abundance, the absolute wholeness of the universe, the life energy. That is all that is. By now your problem is beginning to look a little smaller, isn't it? This is yes, this is no. Okay. Second, if it is infinite, which it is, it can't be anything other than that, otherwise it's not the infinite presence. If it is infinite, where are you located? Outside or inside? Inside. You're within the infinite. Everything about you, every issue in your life, everything, every smallest little detail, yeah, that one too, is within the infinite. I am one of that. Step two. Step one, God is. I remember how magnificent God is, what the real truth of God is. Step two, I'm one of it. I am one of that love. I am one of that abundance. I am one of that life energy. I am one of that love, of that wholeness, of that vitality. I am one of that. How do you feel after that? Okay? So you do those two steps until you feel it, until you truly get it. Sometimes that will take you all of 3 seconds, and sometimes that will take you 3 hours, depending on how far separated you're feeling at the moment. And if it's taking you 3 hours, call up a practitioner and lean into their faith, because they know it about you when you forget. That's what practitioners and prayer partners and other people are great for. Now, we start to set the intention. We start to get our nonchalant mind out of the way. Our nonchalant mind says, oh yeah, whatever. Yeah, oh yeah, whatever gets you weird results, okay? It gets you whatever's floating through the air results. No, you get specific. You set an intention. What is it that I want to have manifest? If I'm looking at my checkbook and I don't like it, what do I want it to look like? If I'm looking at my relationship and I don't like it, what do I want it to look like? And here's where we get stuck. We get stuck in, I don't know how that's going to happen, so therefore I'm not going to declare what I really want, because I can't figure out the how. But the how isn't yours. The part of your mind that wants to go, I want to know how, tell it to shut up. At least for now. Because it's your time to declare, what is the truth that I want? What is it that I want in my life? If your voice is chattering away going, you can't have that, you can't have that, you can't have that, do an argument with it, set up, speak the truth to it. There's no lack in God, therefore there's no lack in me. As a friend of mine used to say, if it ain't true about God, it ain't true about you. If it ain't true of God, it ain't true of you. You can use ain't. We start to declare what is the intention that I want to have in my life, and we get specific. We get specific. Now, I know people who use this little phrase that goes, well, this or something better. Now, sometimes that's a nice, open, and expansive place, and sometimes it's just mental laziness that I'm not going to, I don't really know what I want, and I'm not going to take the time to declare what I want or find what I want. That's when we need to auscultate and listen within, okay? What do I really want? What is my real intention? What is it that I really want in this circumstance and situation? And then I declare it as already done and so. You with me? Okay? This is a done deal. You declare it until you know that it's a done deal. Ernest Holmes talks about a situation that he was in where he and a friend sat together speaking truth about another person who needed some help for 5 hours. A lot of us want to do a little prayer treatment for 2 or 3 minutes and think we're done. Sometimes it takes more than that. If you're wrestling with something that's been an issue in your life, you sit there for as long as you need to, speaking truth, finding somebody else if you need to help you remember the truth, for as long as it takes until you absolutely feel and know and are convinced, and it is a conviction in your soul, in your body, in your mind, that it is so. And there is no room for anything else. That is the consciousness we're trying to establish. That is when Raymond Charles Barker says we want a whole result with only half thinking. That is where he says we don't do the hard mental work. That is the hard mental work. We take our mind and we take control of it and we direct it where we want to go until there is no space for it to go anywhere else but in the direction we want to go. Not always easy, but always effective. Take a breath. Because some of you right now are going, ooh, that's a lot of work, David. You should see my mind. Yeah, you should see mine too, you know. I sometimes have to spend a lot of time. That's why I have prayer partners, 2 of them, and that's why I have a practitioner, 1 of them. That's why I have a mental ministerial mentor. So that's step 3 of the consciousness. We get that, we know it, we state it, we impress our thought. Ernest talks about in this what I believe. I believe the universal spirit, which is God, operates through a universal mind, which is the law of God, and that we are surrounded by this creative mind, which receives the direct impress of our thought and acts upon it. We're making it happen. We're setting the form into which the universe pours itself. What kind of a form do you want to create? How big is your form? How great can it be? Step 4, when you're finally convinced that this is happening, by then you move into a state called gratitude. Because you're so thankful, because you know it's coming. You know it is established as so, you know it is happening. It is a done deal. If you knew that you were holding a winning lottery ticket and you just hadn't gone and collected, would you be living in a state of gratitude? I mean a large winning lottery ticket. I'm not talking about the $2 kind. I'm talking about the 2 million or larger kind. Would you be living in a state of gratitude? Would you be living in a state of expectancy? Yes. That's the gratitude we're talking about. It's a done deal. You're not being grateful to somebody up there for granting you your wish. You're moving into gratitude for that which is already complete and is happening in your life right now because it's so fabulous and so wonderful, and all you can just simply do is, oh, I'm so grateful, I'm so thankful that this is the truth. And finally, you do the hardest step of all. Step 5, you release it. You hand it off to the law of the universe, the operation of the universe that does know the how, and you don't mess with it. And any of us who've done treatment, Chris is over there laughing, any of us who've done treatment know how hard that is to do because we want to pick it up and fiddle. Yeah, I want to change Charlie a little bit. I'm just going to do that prayer. I know he's perfect, holding it. Charlie, could you just please do this better? We want to mess with it instead of just letting it go. It's like planting the seed in the ground and digging it up to see how it's doing. It doesn't work. So we plant that seed in the ground of spirit. We plant that seed into the law, that process that knows how to grow it. That as surely as nature knows how to grow that seed that you plant in the ground into a plant, into whatever form of plant that it is, and when you plant a seed of tomato seed, do you get an oak tree? No. If I plant a red pepper seed, do I get corn? No. Okay, so the seed that I plant into the ground is what's going to show up. That's the intention that we're talking about. You set an intention, you make sure you plant that, and then you let the nature, that infinite presence that knows how to manifest it. And you say, and so it is, we're done. Or as a friend of mine likes to say, boom. That's our 5-step treatment process. When people say, how do you do all that stuff? That's what we do. I'm going to close with a reading from Ernest from the Science of Mind textbook. Effective treatment is propelled by a consciousness of love, and that's important. I've watched people do treatment in fear. I've watched people do treatment in anxiety or anger or trying to make it happen. No, it's a consciousness of love. Love what you want into your life. Love what you want into your life. So effective treatment is propelled by a consciousness of love and a realization that the creative spirit is always at work. The practitioner, and that's the person who is doing the practice, that's you and me, all of us, the practitioner does not feel that he or she must compel the force to work. It is the nature of the creative power to take form, and it is the nature of man to use it. It's its nature to take form, and it's ours to use it. We are doing it anyways, by the way. We're constantly doing this process. Now we're just getting conscious of it. A treatment should be given in a calm, expectant manner and with a deep inner conviction of its reality, without any fear or any sense that the human mind must make it effective. The work is effective because the law is always in operation. Spiritual mind treatment should bring into actual manifestation the health and happiness which are mankind's normal and divine heritage. Are you ready to step into your heritage?
Yes.
Your divine heritage. Great. Let's take this into prayer. So join me in consciousness as I go through a treatment for us. I start by beginning to remember that first step, that God is all there is. There is one infinite presence, pure love, pure good, perfect order and harmony, operating exactly as it needs to be operating. It is perfect love. It is abundant and opulent beyond our wildest imaginations, and then beyond that too. It is the life energy. It is the health, the wholeness, the vibrational aliveness of this entire universe. That is what it is. God is that, and so much more. And then because it is the infinite presence, because it is all there is, I have to be, you have to be, each of us has to be one of the infinite presence of that divine. We are that already. So we are the life. We are the love. We are the abundance. We are that vitality, that energy, that wholeness and health, that harmony and divine order. We are that right this second, right now. Always have been, always will be, are right now. We can forget it, we can not know it, we can ignore it, but we are it. I can think I'm a turkey, but I'm truly an eagle. We are it. And so then we move into the statement of our purpose, of our intention, and the intention that I speak today is for this congregation, for everyone here, for everyone who hears this talk, to have a manifestation of a life that is supremely sublime, blissful, beyond their wildest imaginations. That what looks today like conditions become just little tiny stepping stones into the magnificent expression of who each person here is. Each person. Each person here is God. And each person here wakes up more fully, more powerfully, more brilliantly than ever before to how magnificent they are. that the soul of humankind, the soul of the Spirit within us, is awakening to its true nature in, through, and as each of us. That this blesses us individually in our world, and this blesses us on the planet as a whole, and this blesses us in so many ways even beyond that we don't even know of. We open to that Spirit, that heaven as earth. We allow it to be so. We allow our love to calm everything that is unlike love. We allow our sense of abundance to display, to manifest through everything that is, to know that all have all they need. We allow our awareness and our life energy to heal and restore all that seems to be out of the flow of life energy, recognizing that it can never be. We stand in that consciousness. We allow that to be so. We allow this church, our individual lives, this town, this state, this country, and this planet to become an expression of heaven as earth. And so we move into that fourth step of gratitude, of being grateful for this, because if that is what is happening, oh my God, how fabulous life is. And so we move into gratitude, knowing that because we have spoken this word, because we have put it into consciousness collectively, that it has to manifest. We may not know how yet, but it has to manifest. People didn't know how to fly an airplane until the Wright brothers came along, but the principles were still there. The process, the availability was all still there. And so we know that this process is still here, is here. And so we are grateful for it. And finally, we release it into that which does know how to manifest it in the right way, at the right time, in the most beautiful, perfect ways possible. We call it the law, the process of manifestation, the process of how the infinite manifests into human form. We turn this over to that process and we let it be. We know it is done. It is so right here. It is so right now in each of our lives. We say yes, yea, amen, and together we say, and so it is. Thank you.